Tom woke to the sharp buzz of his alarm clock, its insistent beeping cutting through the quiet of his small bedroom. He blinked at the ceiling, the early morning light slipping through the thin curtains, casting a soft glow across the walls. It was 6:30 a.m., the second day of school at Maplewood Elementary, and the nervous knot in his stomach was smaller than yesterday. The first day had been a whirlwind of new faces, crowded hallways, and unfamiliar routines, but he'd survived. Mia's warm smile, Jake's loud laugh, and Ms. Brown's kind words lingered in his mind, giving him a flicker of confidence. Today, he hoped, would feel a little less like stepping into the unknown. He rolled out of bed, his bare feet hitting the cold wooden floor. His room was still a mess, with unpacked boxes piled in the corner and clothes draped over a chair. He'd promised himself he'd tidy up over the weekend, but for now, he grabbed a clean green shirt from the pile and pulled on his jeans. His sneakers, worn from countless adventures in his old village, waited by the door. He tied the laces, his fingers steadier than yesterday, and checked his backpack. It was heavy, stuffed with notebooks, pencils, and his favourite book, The Hobbit, tucked in for comfort. Having it with him felt like carrying a piece of his old life into this new world. Downstairs, the kitchen smelled of warm oatmeal and cinnamon. His mother, Anna, was stirring a pot on the stove, her dark hair pulled back in a loose bun. "Morning, Tom," she said, her voice bright. "Ready for day 2? Tom slid into a chair at the small wooden table. "I think so," he said, scooping oatmeal into a bowl. It was sprinkled with raisins, just how he liked it. He told Anna about yesterday, the soccer ball on the playground, Mia's thumbs up, and the way that Ms. Brown had made him feel welcome. Anna listened, her eyes warm with pride. "You're already finding your way," she said, setting a glass of milk beside his bowl. "I knew you'd do great." She squeezed his shoulder, and Tom felt a bit of his nervousness melt away. He wasn't sure he was doing great, but her words gave him a boost. After breakfast, Tom slung his backpack over one shoulder and stepped outside. The morning air was crisp, carrying the scent of dew and freshly cut grass. The town was waking up, with cars humming along the main road and a dog barking in the distance. He noticed the red mailbox on the corner again, its bright paint standing out like a beacon. He wondered if it had a story, maybe painted by someone in the town years ago. The thought made him smile as he walked toward school. Maplewood Elementary came into view, its brick walls and wide windows looking less intimidating today. The playground was alive with kids, some chasing a frisbee, others swinging on the monkey bars. Tom spotted Jake near the basketball court, kicking a soccer ball with a group of boys. "Yo, Tom!" Jake shouted, waving wildly. "Want to kick it before the bell?" Tom's heart skipped a beat. He wasn't good at sports, and the idea of joining a game still made him pause. But Jake's grin was hard to ignore. "Okay," Tom said, dropping his backpack by a bench. He jogged over, and Jake passed him the ball. Tom gave it a clumsy kick, sending it rolling a few feet. The other boys laughed, but it was friendly, not mean. A boy with curly black hair, Leo, grabbed the ball and passed it back. "You'll get the hang of it," Leo said, his smile easy. The bell rang, cutting the game short. Tom grabbed his backpack and followed the crowd inside, his cheeks warm from the effort. He felt a small thrill. He'd joined in, even if just for a moment. The hallways were as chaotic as yesterday, filled with the chatter of kids and the squeak of sneakers on the shiny floor. Tom checked his schedule. English first, then math, science, history, art, and gym. He was starting to get the rhythm of this place, the way the school moved like a living thing, buzzing with energy. In room 204, Mia was already at her desk, doodling stars in moons in her notebook. "Hey, Tom," she said, looking up with a grin. "You survived day 1. How's it feel?"
"Not as scary," Tom admitted, sliding into the seat next to her. The classroom felt familiar now, with its big windows letting in soft morning light and the blackboard waiting for today's lesson. He arranged his pencils neatly, feeling a bit more at home. Mia leaned over, peeking at his backpack. "Is that The Hobbit?" she asked, spotting the book sticking out. "I love that one. Have you read The Lord of the Rings?" "Not yet," Tom said, surprised. "You like fantasy books?" "Totally," Mia said. "We should talk about them sometime. Maybe start a book club." Tom nodded, a warm feeling spreading in his chest. The idea of a book club sounded perfect, a way to connect over something he loved. Maybe he'd found someone who got him. Miss Brown walked in, her coffee mug in hand as usual. "Good morning, everyone," she said, her voice bright and clear. "Today we're writing a short story. Pick a moment that made you feel something, happy, scared, excited, and write about it." She handed out lined paper, and the room filled with the rustle of pages and the scratch of pencils. Tom stared at his blank paper, his mind racing. A moment that made him feel something? He thought about yesterday, standing up to introduce himself, his voice barely a whisper, his face burning. It had been terrifying, but he'd done it. He started writing, the words coming slowly at first. He described moving to the new town, the way the school felt like a maze, the sound of the bell that made his heart jump. He wrote about kicking the soccer ball with Jake, how it felt awkward but exciting. He wrote about Mia's smile and the way the classroom felt alive with noise and light. By the time he finished, he had 3 pages filled, his handwriting messy but full of feeling. Miss Brown collected the stories, pausing at Tom's desk. "You've got a lot to say, Tom," she said, her smile warm. "I'm looking forward to reading this." Tom blushed, but a spark of pride flickered inside him. He'd never thought of himself as a writer, but maybe he could be good at it. The idea made him sit a little straighter. Math class was next, and Tom braced himself. Fractions were still a struggle, but Mr. Carter's clear explanations helped. Today they worked on multiplying fractions, and Tom was paired with Leo from the playground. Leo was quick with numbers, jotting down answers while Tom checked their work. "You're good at catching mistakes," Leo said, giving him a fist bump. Tom smiled, feeling a bit more confident. Working with Leo was easy, and the numbers started to make sense. Mr. Carter walked by and nodded. "Nice teamwork, boys," he said, and Tom felt a small surge of pride. Math wasn't his favourite, but maybe it wasn't so bad. Science class was a highlight. Mrs. Lee, with her bright smile and endless energy, brought out a microscope, and the class took turns looking at slides of plant cells. Tom peered through the lens, amazed at the tiny green shapes, like a hidden world. "It's like a secret city," he said, almost to himself. Mrs. Lee overheard and grinned. "That's a great way to put it, Tom. Science is all about finding those secret cities."
Her words made him feel like he belonged in her class, like he could be good at this. She handed out a worksheet about ecosystems, and Tom sketched a small forest in the margin, thinking of the woods back in his village. Lunch was less overwhelming today. Tom found Mia, Jake, and Sarah at their usual table by the windows. The cafeteria smelled of pizza and apples, and the noise was a comforting hum. Jake was telling a story about his dog stealing a sandwich, making Sarah laugh so hard she nearly spilled her milk. Mia turned to Tom. "You should join the talent show," she said. "Maybe read one of your stories." Tom shook his head, his cheeks warm. "I'm not good at performing," he said. "I just like reading." "Reading's a talent," Mia insisted. "You could read a poem or something, or join us for the group act. Jake's juggling, and I'm doing a skit." Tom didn't know about that, but her encouragement made him feel less out of place. He listened as they talked about the talent show, the book fair, and their favourite teachers. Sarah mentioned the garden club, and Tom perked up. "I saw their flowers," he said. "They're cool." Sarah smiled, shy but friendly. "You should check it out. We meet after school." After lunch, history class with Mr. Patel was about ancient Egypt again. He showed a video of the Nile River, its water sparkling under the sun. Tom imagined sailing down it, past pyramids and sandy dunes. He sketched a boat in his notebook, adding a tiny figure waving from the deck. Mr. Patel walked by and glanced at his drawing. "Nice imagination, Tom," he said. "You could be an artist and a historian." Tom smiled, his shyness fading a little. He liked how Mr. Patel made the past feel alive, like a story he could step into. Art class was next, and Miss Rivera had them add colours to their self-portraits. Tom chose blue for his shirt and brown for his hair, trying to make the book in his hand look real. He wasn't great at drawing, but the quiet focus of the class calmed him. Miss Rivera stopped by his desk, and she said, "I like how you're adding details. It's starting to look like you." Tom nodded, his pencil moving with a bit more confidence. The soft music she played in the background made the room feel peaceful, and Tom found himself humming along. The day ended with gym class, which Tom had been nervous about. Coach Miller was a tall man with a whistle around his neck and a voice that echoed across the field. "Let's move, people," he shouted, leading the class to the soccer field. They played a short game and Tom stayed near the back, hoping to avoid the action. But Jake pulled him in, passing him the ball. "Kick it, Tom," he yelled. Tom kicked it, sending it wobbling toward the goal. It didn't score, but Jake cheered anyway, slapping him on the back. For the first time, Tom felt part of the team, even if he wasn't a star player. After gym, Tom realized he'd left his pencil case in the English classroom again. He hurried back to room 204, hoping it was still open. The door was ajar, and Miss Brown was there, organizing papers at her desk. "Tom," she said, looking up. "Forget something again?" "Yeah, my pencil case," he said, spotting it on his desk. He grabbed it, feeling a little embarrassed. "No rush," Miss Brown said. "First weeks are always a bit chaotic. You did great today, by the way. I read your story. It's got heart." Her words caught Tom off guard. He hadn't expected her to read it so soon, let alone like it. "Thanks," he mumbled, clutching his pencil case. He left the room, his steps lighter. The school felt less like a maze now, more like a place he could navigate. As the final bell rang, Tom walked out with Mia. "You're getting the hang of this place," she said, kicking a pebble along the sidewalk. "Want to join us for soccer at recess tomorrow?" "I'll think about it." And this time, he meant it. The walk home was lighter, the town less strange. He noticed the garden club's flowers near the school entrance, their petals bright against the green grass. He thought about the book fair flyer he'd seen yesterday and decided to ask Anna for money to buy a new book. The idea of new stories to read made his heart lift. At home, Anna was waiting with a plate of chocolate chip cookies. "Day 2 done," she said, her smile wide. "How was it?" "Really good," Tom said, grabbing a cookie. He told her about the microscope, the soccer game, and his story in English class. He mentioned Mia, Jake, Leo, and Sarah, and how the school was starting to feel like a place he could belong. Anna listened, her eyes shining. "You're finding your place," she said, ruffling his hair. "I'm so proud of you." Tom nodded, biting into the cookie. It was warm and sweet, just like the day had been. He thought about the classroom with its big windows and noisy chatter, the playground where he'd kicked a ball, the teachers who made him feel seen. Tomorrow he'd go back, ready for another step in this new routine. That evening, Tom sat at his desk, flipping through The Hobbit. He read a few pages, losing himself in Bilbo's adventures. The book felt like a friend, a reminder of his old life. But now he had new stories to tell, stories of soccer balls, microscopes, and friends who made him laugh. He closed the book and looked out his window at the darkening sky. The stars were starting to appear, small and bright. He felt the quiet hope. School was still new, but it was starting to feel like home. The next morning, Tom woke with a bit more energy. The routine was settling in, and he was starting to look forward to school. He dressed quickly, choosing a grey hoodie and his usual sneakers. Downstairs, Anna had made toast with peanut butter, and Tom ate while telling Anna about his plan to join the soccer game at recess. "That's my boy," Anna said, her voice full of pride. At school, the playground was as lively as ever. Tom joined Jake and Leo for a quick soccer game before the bell. This time, he kicked the ball with more confidence, even managing to pass it to Leo, who scored a goal. "Nice one, Tom," Leo shouted, high-fiving him. Tom grinned, his nerves fading. In English class, Miss Brown returned their stories from yesterday. She'd written comments in red pen, and Tom's heart raced as he opened his notebook. "Wonderful voice, Tom. You capture the feeling of a new beginning beautifully." Tom read the words again, his cheeks warm. He'd never thought his writing was anything special, but Miss Brown's note made him want to try harder. She announced a new project, a class anthology of their stories. "We'll pick the best ones and make a book," she said. "Everyone's invited to contribute." Tom's stomach flipped. The idea of his story being in a book was exciting, but scary. Mia leaned over, whispering, "You should submit yours. It's probably awesome." Tom shrugged, but her words stuck with him. Maybe he'd try. Math class went better than expected. Tom and Leo tackled a new set of fraction problems, laughing when they got stuck on a tricky one. Mr. Carter walked by and nodded. "Good teamwork, boys," he said. Tom felt a small surge of pride. He wasn't great at math, but he was getting better.
Science was about ecosystems, and Mrs. Lee showed a video of a rainforest, its trees towering and green. Tom drew a diagram of a forest in his notebook, thinking of the woods back in his village. He added a tiny bird like the ones he'd seen on his walk to school. Mrs. Lee stopped by his desk. "I like your sketch," she said. "You've got an eye for detail." Tom smiled, his shyness easing. In history, Mr. Patel told stories of ancient Egyptian pharaohs, his voice deep and captivating. Tom imagined exploring a pyramid, its walls covered in hieroglyphs. He sketched a tomb in his notebook, adding a tiny explorer with a torch. Mr. Patel glanced at it and smiled. "Keep that imagination, Tom," he said. Tom nodded, feeling a bit more confidence. Art class was calm, with Ms. Rivera playing soft music as they worked on their self-portraits. Tom added green to his background, thinking of the school's garden. He wasn't an artist, but the colors made him happy. Ms. Rivera stopped by. "Your portrait's coming together," she said. "It's got personality." Tom blushed, but kept painting. Gym class was dodgeball, and Tom was less nervous this time. He dodged a few throws, even catching one, which earned a cheer from Jake. "You're killing it, Tom," Jake yelled, and Tom laughed, feeling part of the game. Coach Miller blew his whistle, ending the match. "Good hustle, everyone," he said, and Tom felt a spark of pride. At lunch, Mia, Jake, and Sarah talked about the book fair. "We should all go," Mia said. "They've got fantasy books, Tom. You'd love them." Tom nodded, excited at the thought. Sarah mentioned the garden club again, and Tom perked up. "I might check it out," he said, surprising himself. Sarah smiled. "Cool. It's fun, and you get to plant stuff." After school, Tom lingered near the garden by the school entrance. The flowers were bright, red, yellow, and purple, swaying in the breeze. He saw a sign for the garden club meeting next week and made a mental note to ask about it. Maybe it would be a way to feel more connected, like he had in his village with his mom's vegetable patch. As he walked home, Tom thought about the day. The classroom, the playground, the teachers, they were all becoming familiar. He wasn't the shy boy from the village anymore, or at least not entirely. He was Tom, the kid who could kick a soccer ball, write a story, and maybe even belong. The red mailbox on the corner caught his eye again, and he smiled. This town, this school, was starting to feel like his.